What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lady League. I am RZ, and whoa, hang on. We are streaming live. There we go. We are. It was all Dr. Z. That's all they wanted to see, Colleen. Was all your
Hi,
face.
everybody.
All right, I am RZ, streaming live from Los Angeles. We've got Allie, also streaming live from Los Angeles, and then from the Windy City, Dr. Z. Say hi, ladies.
Hello, hi, ladies.
All right,
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. All right. Well, what a wild week 4. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got waiver wire pickups, chill out or freak out, fantasy bay of the week, and hopefully nonstop laughs. So let's kick it off with the first whistle and 40 seconds on the clock. Dr. Z, you're ready. Kick us off.
Okay, well, we had this season's first London game, which kicked off bright and early at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is pretty rough.
Allie has props.
For those West Coast people. All I have to say about this is, isn't it just so cute how much Londoners love the Jaguars? It's like they don't understand about wins and losses and things. It's how you play the game. I don't know. But anyways, I think it's great. It's great for the Jaguars as well, considering they hung on for their first win of the season against their division rivals, the Colts. Meanwhile, the Colts defense, the O-line, they're all terrible. Too many drop passes, all contributed to their putrid 1-3 start. I told you last week I was going to drop Bortles. I couldn't do it. There was nobody else on the wire, but he did redeem himself this week.
Okay, finish
if
up.
only they could play this well in America, I'd be set.
Absolutely. Okay, Allie, it is time for your first whistle.
Yes.
Reset on the clock, 40 seconds, go.
Damn, it feels good to be a Falcon or overdraft on them, which is what I did. I had a Falcon-heavy draft that made me feel awful for weeks. I was like, Allie, you're so stupid. Why did you draft so many Falcons? My Week 11 bye is going to be a nightmare. But I think it was worth it because I had just a lovely week with Julio Jones giving me 48 PPR points. I'm even feeling good about Matt Ryan as my backup quarterback right now.
Backup.
Definitely feeling good about picking Julio Jones over Odell Beckham, which I'm sure will be brought up later.
You're out of time. You're out of time. He's your backup? Because I should propose a trade.
Oh, well. Things are getting interesting.
Getting a little interesting. Okay, I'm gonna hit my first whistle. The Vikings ball boy out Odell. Did you guys see that one?
Yes!
And he was so chill. He was so cavalier about it. I loved it. And Odell had his worst game of his career, held to 23 receiving yards. Ouch. And you guys, the Vikings.
Somebody stop them.
What? Their defense is legit. Like, they are good, and their offense isn't bad either. Bradford's giving it to everybody. I mean, McKinnon did well, and if you listen to Colleen, you probably have Kyle Rudolph in your lineup, and you're feeling good. And we're out of time, so 40 seconds, done. The Vikings,
good job.
They might be the best in the NFC North. I hate to say it. Okay, so let's get into Mopes or Gloats. It's a special edition this week because there was the Lady League matchup of the week. Rogers and Hammer's team, Allie, versus Leather and Lacey, Dr. Z. Allie, you're going to kick us off. I think we know what you're going to do, but are you moping or gloating today?
Well, based on what my props are with my winter hat and my glass of champagne, I had a very victorious win this week. Just when I thought I was out of the Lady League, I pulled myself back in on the back of that big-backed Big Ben. Oh, girl, it was down to the wire. Colleen and I were neck and neck. She had Antonio Brown. I had Big Ben. Our other two players were caught in a weather delay in Tampa Bay. So I was like, oh, is Mike Evans going to get me more than 5 points in the fourth quarter? Of course he didn't. So all I had hope for was that Ben would throw to someone other than Antonio Brown. And though our election season may be a disaster, democracy was alive and well in Pittsburgh because he found every different receiver on the team for all these touchdowns.
I had to turn the game off. I was so mad.
There was
I couldn't
Darius,
even watch it.
hey, sitting on the dock of the bay. There was Marcus eating his Wheaties, Wheaton. There was Jesse, no, not that Jesse, James. It was a glorious win over Colleen's very formidable team. You have an amazing team to pull me back to 2-2. So I'm gloating over that. I did leave points on my bench, sitting Crabtree and starting Doug Baldwin. What happened, Doug? We talked about this last week. But so that's my one mope. But I'm not going to get too hung up about that.
Yeah, I think you can gloat not only about the win, but of your sweet nicknames for all those players. We'll give you a gloat there.
Thank you.
Dr. Z, I assume you're moping. What are you doing?
I'm mostly moping, yes. I'm definitely moping about Charles Sims. I knew he had a tough matchup, but I knew he was going to, get the ball running, passing, whatever. But unfortunately, he got hurt in the first quarter, and then he just didn't seem like himself. And then that weather delay did not help matters.
That was very weird.
Sort of moping because I felt like, when he did absolutely nothing, I felt like I should have started Ware, but then, Ware fumbled in that game. So they both fumbled. I did not have a good alternative on my bench. So sometimes those are the breaks.
Is that the second weather delay this season?
Yeah, in San Diego.
What is this, baseball?
Or Tampa Bay. Yeah, in Tampa Bay, 2 weather delays in a row. So just regarding Sims, he does get another tough matchup this week against Carolina. Then next week he's on a bye. And then in week 6, Doug Martin is going to be back, or week 7. So Sims also did not practice today, and he was walking around the field with a limp. So I don't know about starting him this week. Some of us might not have an alternative, but yeah, it's not looking too good. The silver lining for Doug Martin owners like myself, he has a great schedule after the bye. I suggest buying low. Do it now. He's going to be great. And then a really quick gloat because
you can't get through an episode without a little gloating.
Gotta do a little bit.
Nothing to the level of what Allie is doing this week, but yes, a little gloat. I did improve to 4-0. I'm the only undefeated team in first place in my otherwise all-male 2-quarterback IDP league. I have the second most points scored, so the guys are starting to get a little bit worried, and that makes me feel great.
Yes.
There's really nothing better than that besides possibly beating Allie in a championship game. But
yes,
anyway,
I have to also add, I also am now the top player in my almost all-male league. So I'm with you.
Ladies,
job.
representing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I basically won by default, though, because I was like 30 points ahead, and my opponent had the Giants defense, Odell Beckham Jr., and like 2 Giants IDP players. So I just went all in, and I just rooted for the Giants to have a terrible day.
Which they did.
More what I would expect, and that is what happened. So I pulled out the win.
Nice. I obviously wasn't in the Lady League matchup of the week. However, watch out, Lady League. I'm coming for you. Tom Brady's back. Kenneth Dixon's back, and he will blow eventually. And you know what? I eked out my first win of the season in the Lady League.
Yes.
And I'm coming for that bout.
Good job, girl.
That wasn't a mope or a gloat. That was more of a taunt, and I find it appropriate. In the moping and gloating category, I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to gloat because I know the waiver wire guys to grab. Will Fuller, Jordan Howard. I just don't always know when to start them. I benched Will Fuller this week. It was just a heartbreaker. And
so bad.
But the thing is, I still won, but it's fine. But I hate leaving those points on the bench.
20
But
points.
I don't know if this is against my better judgment, except I'm going to recommend benching Fuller again this week if you have a better option, because they're playing the stingy Vikings defense, and I just don't know. So, might have to bench him again. We'll talk next week if things go awry. So, okay. Alrighty. Yes. So it was a wild week 4. We've talked about a little bit. Ladies, hit us with your top fantasy storylines. Dr. Z, why don't you kick us off?
All right, I'm going to start out in the NFC North. There was a division game, Bears-Lions, and the Bears finally pulled out a win at home. They haven't won at home in over a year, so this is a top storyline here in Chicago. They got this win largely due to the productive quarterback play of Brian Hoyer. He was efficient, on target. He had over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Chicago, brace yourself for the quarterback controversy.
I love Brian Hoyer. Sorry, I had to say it.
I know. We have, there's this place in our heart for Brian Hoyer. I don't know why. It's
I don't
just
either.
there. It's weird.
We saw him on Hard Knocks.
That must be it. He's endeared.
I talked about this last week. It's just that he was a hometown hero in Cleveland, and he was like the third string guy, and then he was playing for his, he's a starting guy for his home team, and I've just been rooting for him ever since. Once the storyline gets to me, I can't resist.
Well, everybody likes an underdog, and you'll be happy about this. John Fox was quoted as saying yesterday of Hoyer, anybody who's performing that well, I don't think we're likely to change. So that to me means if Hoyer keeps playing well, they're going to keep Cutler on the bench, which is going to be...
Oh, my house is going to be a disaster. Yeah,
I know. And my boyfriend as well is a huge Cutler fan. But even he was sitting on the couch saying, was Cutler really the problem all along? And I've been telling him that for years.
Cutler's the problem.
Leader. He has a bad attitude, and he doesn't play that well. So
there was an article in ESPN about the Bennett brothers, and they were saying how he is the worst quarterback in the league, that they would be open, or was it both brothers, Martellus, that he would be open and Cutler would throw into triple coverage to a defender. So,
yeah,
I mean, Cutler.
Yeah. One other person I want to mention is Jordan Howard. He looked great in this game. Yeah. 23 rushes for 111 yards. The one thing I will say about him is that he doesn't have like the patience of a seasoned runner. He's not like a dancer like Forte, who's just kind of patient and then bursts through the hole. He just is a north-south runner, and he just goes. But, I mean, that's really all you can expect out of a rookie. I think he's going to get better and more patient with time, but I definitely think keep rolling with him, and he was a good pickup.
Yep. All right, Allie.
Yeah.
I know you've got
I just want to add a little bit to that Bears story because, my husband is the biggest Jay Cutler fan. And basically, if the Bears finish like in last place or second to last place, they have a really good chance of getting like a top quarterback next, in the draft. But if they finish, third to last or better, they're not going to get that quarterback. So I'm really curious as to like who Bear fans are like, what are they rooting for this year? Are they rooting for Hoyer to do well? Or are they rooting for like, let's draft a QB? Anyway, so that's my add-on to that. What I'm so intrigued by are like the Panthers and Cardinals. Are they in big trouble?
Yes.
As fantasy owners, what are we thinking about Kelvin Benjamin, the Cardinal defense? Even Michael Floyd and David Johnson aren't, they're putting up okay numbers, but can they carry your team? Larry Fitzgerald's, supposed to be a top maybe 10 receiver, and is he gonna get those points?
In a top 15.
Yeah, not even.
Worried about there is Michael Floyd. He has not been playing well. He's out of my top 30 wide receivers. I don't know about him anymore.
And are they going to get back to last year, or was it truly that Carson Palmer had an amazing year last year and now he's just a crusty, dried up old man? That's me being salty from last year's playoff win.
He's regressing.
Yeah, I mean, they were on top of the power rankings before the season started, or first or second, and they look bad from just a pure football standpoint. They look bad from a fantasy standpoint. Those are definitely guys that you've got to keep an eye on. You don't really feel comfortable rolling with them.
So what about the Panthers? What's their deal?
They're bad. They're in trouble.
They're bad.
This is
bad.
They lost the Super Bowl and now they suck. I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, okay, we can't really talk about this last week of football without talking about how hot it was in Atlanta. Holy moly. By the way, anytime I talk to somebody from Atlanta, they say they're from Atlanta, I go, Hotlanta, and they hate it. But I still do it. Anyway.
That's a compliment.
Anyways, Ellie mentioned this a little bit.
True.
What's that?
Also factually true. It's a warm climate.
It's a warm climate. So, Allie, I know you mentioned this a little bit in your first whistle, but Julio, he joins an elite group of receivers to hit 300 yards. Maddie threw for 503, and so it's hard not to get excited about those two unless you were playing against them. And just some guys that we mentioned last week, like Colleen said, Jordan Howard, he was a good ad. Dwayne Washington, he did suffer an ankle injury, so we'll continue to monitor that situation. And as we get more info, we will keep you all posted on what to do there if you've got some Lions running backs. Okay, so week 4 and moving forward, and there are some guys with high price tags on draft day that have not been performing. So it's time to chill out or freak out. Dr. Z, are you chilling? Are you freaking? Talk to us.
I am freaking out about Latavius Murray. I drafted this guy to be my running back 2 in my 2-quarterback league, and he has now dropped down to like a running back 5, like potential drop candidate. Like he needs an injury from one of these other guys to actually do anything. And it's the way that they're using him, and then his production in these short amount of opportunities. He got only 8 touches, down from 10, down from 15 the week before. I mean, it just keeps going down for only 19 yards, and his yards per carry is pathetic. And the other guys there, like Washington and the other guy whose name I forget, their yards per carry is actually better and better. So I don't know what's going to happen, but Latavius Murray is not the guy anymore, and that's scary, and it's not like you can really pick one of these other guys up and feel confident because they're not getting enough touches either. So I say,
maybe Washington
that backfield, Raiders backfield for a while until it gets sorted out.
Yeah, I guess I would say Washington if you are in dire need, and some of these other guys that we recommend aren't available. Yeah. But it's more a grab him and stash him than start him with confidence. Sort of thing.
He's not ready to fire up this week. I do have one
Maybe
other.
Latavius will have a comeback week.
I mean, he's going to be on my bench, so it won't help me. But
he probably will if he's on your bench, because that's what fantasy. That's what happens.
There you go.
And then I have one other freak out player, and that's Dwayne Allen with the Colts, the tight end. He had a really hot start, and then since then he's had 3 crappy games of 3 points or less. He also keeps dropping the ball, so he's not doing enough with his opportunities. Only 1 touchdown on the season in week 1. This is a down year for tight ends, and it's time to start making other plans if you've got Allen.
Yeah, very, very boom bust. Okay, so I am freaking out about DeAndre Hopkins. We already talked a little bit about the rookie Will Fuller, but he's got a higher catch rate. He's got more yards per catch, and he's leading the team in targets. I do think that things will level out as the other teams get privy to Willie. But Hopkins, it will be hard-pressed to end the year as a top 10 receiver, which is what you drafted him as, not worth his draft day price tag. And, Gronk. Gronk. Fantasy owners want to see you spiking the ball, not Belichick spiking the tablet. He had a big old goose egg in week 3 and 1 measly point in week 4. But don't worry, world. Chill out on the Gronkster. Brady's coming back, and week 5, and they are playing the Browns. So I pretty much want to play every Patriot I have. So that's my advice.
As you should.
Allie, chill out, freak out.
I'm chilling out more than I'm freaking out just because I messed up a good week. I already sort of telegraphed it last week, but I'm absolutely freaking out on Alshon Jeffrey because he's such a talent. But just with the way the quarterbacks are shifting over there, like I think it's really risky for him to depend on him week to week. As I will talk about in my waiver wire pickups, I'm a little hotter on Eddie Royal. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, maybe we should give him a shot. So I'm freaking out on Alshon Jeffrey. I'm going to chill out on everyone else. Doug Baldwin has been hot and cold, but I'm going to chalk that up to Russell Wilson not playing at full speed. I'll chill out on Travis Benjamin, even though like he had been in a sort of a slow downward motion.
It's hard. It's like you want the guys that have consistency from week to week. There's nothing more frustrating from a fantasy standpoint than the boomer bust, and then they boom when you're on their bench and whatever. So we'll definitely do a draft day episode next
Yes.
season. I'm real high on consistency from players as best as you can, as best as you can foretell. And so you want guys with a higher floor that, you know, aren't going to that you can depend on. They're going to get touches. They're going to get carries. That's why you want guys with, you know, a lot of production or a lot of, you know, attempts. All right. So it's Tuesday night, as we all know. And so we're all trying to fix our teams from whatever they were decimated by: injury, concussions, bye weeks, underperformers, all of it. So we've talked about it a little bit, but ladies, who are we hitting up on waivers? Let's start with QBs.
Got some for you. Cool. So first of all, Cam and Palmer both went down this week. They're both concussed. Simeon also went down with a shoulder injury. Regarding Palmer, he has not looked good all season, and now he's got a short week. He plays Thursday Night Football. Even if he plays, I do not suggest starting him. I don't think he's going to play. We don't know for sure yet. He's still going through the concussion protocol, but you should definitely sit him. Now, regarding Cam Newton, also no new information. There's been some whispers that he is going to play, some that he isn't, so I don't really know. Nothing new on him, at least not football related, but apparently he likes to trash Hollywood mansions and stuff in the off season. So that's all I got for you on him.
Great.
TMZ, Dr. Z.
Right. So Cam at least plays Monday night, so that's going to be a little bit stressful if you want to put him in your lineup. I actually have him in my 2-quarterback league, and then I've got Blake Bortles, who's on a bye, and Fitzpatrick is my backup. So I'm ready to make other plans. One thing that you could do is consider picking up Anderson, Cam Newton's backup, last minute, and just in case putting him in your lineup.
In case. Do it.
Cam doesn't play because he's actually been good as a backup. And he's got a really good matchup against the Bucs coming up. And then the other guy I think you could plug and play for the next week or two is, again, Brian Hoyer. Like, I know he's been good. He's been bad. People don't want to trust him. But he does get the defenseless Colts this week. Anybody can have a good game against them. I expect him to get another 300-yard, 2-touchdown game to make it 3 in a row. So he's a really good one-week play.
Absolutely, especially with 4 teams on bye, concussions, injuries, whatever. I think it's worthwhile. And I am still driving the Wentz wagon. If he's available in your league, go get him. He's coming off a bye. I like the matchup against the Lions. Still no interceptions. And I don't even like to say this, but Flacco is a decent streaming option. They pass a lot, 42.5 passes per game. They're at home against Washington. So if you have Breeze or if you have Wilson who are on bye, he's a good pickup. And just also the other teams on bye, Kansas City and Jacksonville get the week off as well. So perhaps you need to find a replacement for Allen Robinson. Allie, who should they target if they need a wide receiver?
Yes. Okay. There's a few rascals to round up on the waiver wire for wide receiver.
Alliteration.
Like I said before, I think the best player right now in the Chicago Bears is Eddie. He's finally royal. Pick this baby up because he does it all. He might even get you a punt return for a touchdown, which does that get you points? Doesn't matter. He has 240. Yes, great. He has 241 yards, 2 touchdowns this season. And like you said, I think he'd be a good matchup with the Colts. We got Michael Thomas, the tank engine. He's been Drew Brees' go-to guy, a very huge red zone threat in the last 2 weeks. 20 targets, 31 all season. I also think Dak Prescott's been loving Cole Porter Beasley. I would say, especially in PPR leagues, he might be worth a pickup for your flex. And yeah, with Big Ben throwing to everyone in sight Sunday night, check out Sammy Floats Our Boat Coates. That's Sammy Coates for a flex wide receiver against a flailing Jets team this weekend.
Thank you. More nicknames. I like it. Keep it up. Okay.
It's my weekend for nicknames.
Z, I know there's some running backs that you're high on. What do you got from the waiver?
Well, I'll let you talk about the Terrence West situation, but the guy that I'm high on right now is Bilal Powell. And this is because Forte may or may not have a super secret injury. Apparently he was carted off from the locker room to maybe not get an MRI. Again, these coaches are just being really shisty this week. There's no information on him. But listen, Bears fans will tell you, Forte does not ever make it through a whole season. Like, he is going to go down eventually. He's going to be out for several games. And when he does go down, Bilal Powell is going to be the guy. There really isn't anybody else there to compete with him for those touches. He's going to get, 20 plus carries. He's going to be that like workhorse back. So there's not that many backups right now that will step up and get all the work. And Bilal Powell is one of those guys. So I suggest you pick him up before it is too late.
Yes, and then as Dr. Z mentioned, it's the great Dixon-West debate of 2016. So I have strong feelings about this. West has more short-term potential. Ravens did say they're going to ride the hot hand, and they so if you need somebody right now, Terrence West might be a better option. However, I am very high on Kenneth Dixon. I drafted him in one league. He was more explosive in preseason. He got the bulk of the carries before he's got his injury. And so now he's coming back off that, and they did say they might ease him back into the mix. So, I'd rather get him if he's available and stash him than play him right away. But I think long-term season potential, he is the guy. And if you're really hurting at running back, roll the dice on Kenneth Dixon. Yeah. Drop the mic. Ravens.
I like it.
Okay, so tight ends. Dr. Z, I know you're pretty high on Zach Ertz.
Yeah, and I'm kind of high on him by default, because like I said before, it's a really down year for tight ends. We're just not getting the production that we're used to seeing at the position. A lot of guys are disappointing us. So Zach Ertz is a mid-range tight end one who you can pick up off the waiver wire. Or if you're really smart like me, I waited until right before Monday Night Football, and then I had, a guy that I was thinking about dropping. In this case, it was Gio. If you ladies want him, go ahead. He's worthless.
I saw him. I thought about him.
You'll think about him, but then you're going to realize, unless Jeremy Hill gets hurt, he's worthless this year, unfortunately. But anyway, so I picked him up because he's a free agent all the way through this Monday Night Football because he didn't play last week. So I don't even have to burn a waiver on him. So I did that in 2 leagues, and I'm going to be firing him up next week.
All right. Okay. A couple other tight ends if you're hurting there. Cameron Brate is getting a healthy amount of targets, and that lowers his floor for those tight ends. Like we've been talking, it's very boom bust, very touchdown dependent, but that can help you feel good about starting him. And he's facing the Panthers secondary this week. I think he's been pretty productive. And then Gates still might be out, and Hunter Henry's been playing very well, so they don't have a reason to rush Gates back. So that he could be the guy again. He's available in most leagues. He did have some fumbling troubles. Those aside, he still put up good numbers, 4 passes for 61 yards. So I like it. I like him. If
Eifert's still available.
No.
He's not.
The Eifert.
He's not. Allie loves Tyler Eifert. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the show. We got a couple minutes left, so it is my favorite part. It's time for Bay of the Week. For those of you who don't know, we're all Green Bay fans, and I know that some of you don't want to hear that. We talked about the Bears and the Vikings a lot for Packers fans this week. So
yeah, you're all lucky.
Yeah, you are. And just so you know, we do give our fantasy advice from our brains, not from our hearts. So, you can trust us. Anyways, Bay of the Week, Dr. Z, who is it?
Grudgingly, I nominate former Packer John Kuhn for basically stealing all my running back ones touchdowns this week. I am a Mark Ingram owner, and although he did get like 15, 16 points, he could have had 35 points if they didn't put John Kuhn in at the goal line to the tune of 3 touchdowns. So
yeah, he also
good for
stole
you,
one
Kuhn.
From Greener. He was the vulture of the week, if not the Bay of the Week.
We miss you and Godspeed, but stop it, please. Just stop it.
Allie, who's your Bay of the Week?
I guess Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. I hate the Cowboys, but I was expecting them to really go on a decline now. So I was very tentative about playing both of them. Dak is my backup quarterback. They both really kind of pulled it out and helped both my teams get their wins. So So as tough as it is for me to say, I guess it's these two Cowboys. I feel weird about it as well.
Yeehaw. Okay, Michael Crabtree is my Bay of the Week and also Derek Carr's Bay. 23 targets over the last 2 games, and what a Bay! Ranking second among receivers with 26 points in those 3 shiny touchdowns. Oh man, if you benched him,
I did.
I did too. Just don't do it again. He gets a lot of targets. Let's ride high on Crabtree. The Raiders are not a joke any longer. Okay, so final whistle, quick to it. Final whistle, Dr. Z.
Speaking of decline, I'm still worried about Gurley. Becky, I know you love him, but I don't think so. I do not think so on him. On the other hand, Melvin Gordon is a superstar. All he does is get touchdowns. I just want to say after 4 weeks, he is the 3rd scoring running back.
Dr. Z has been saying it since before the draft. Like, you were right. You were very right.
I drafted him, and I reached for him, and I love him. That's all.
Okay. Allie, final whistle.
Oh my gosh, what did we all think of Terrell Pryor's LeBron James shout out with his end zone dance followed by the signature powder throw that he then got flagged for by using the ball as a prop? But was the ball powder? I'm a little confused on what the prop was there. So I need some clarification from the National Football League.
Okay. What about that Emmanuel Sanders cartwheel? That was pretty good too.
There were some good celebrations this week. So, okay. And all I have to say for my final whistle is I see you, Steve Smith Sr. You're still going. I see you with that stiff arm, which is my favorite move in football. Keep doing what you do. That's it. All right, well,
love it.
That is all for the Lady League. Week 5, follow us on social media at the FF Lady League on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Do all the things. And eventually I'll get us together with a listening-only podcast version. But it's something new that I'm figuring out how to do. So keep an eye or an ear out for that. Anything else you need to say, ladies, or is it just bye?
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm milking it for a week, and then it'll be back in the dumpster with me.
And with that, goodbye, guys. We will see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Peace.